Welcome to Something Like That. How you doing? How you feeling? I gotta start coming up with a better opening line, man. I've been using the same one. So if you have any ideas, well, feel free to let me know. Maybe we can start using that line. Anyway, welcome to the podcast where we feature all the talents, all the wonderful, amazing talents here in Malaysia. And the great news is this particular podcast episode is supported by our friends from My Creative, Pamule, and also Chandana. They've been very, very supportive for the local art and entertainment scene, and they've been supporting a whole lot of bands, artists, musicians, people from the play scene, and many more great things they've been doing. You can check them out. I will give you the details on their website. That's right. I'll put it down here. Just go and visit them and find out what are the great jobs they have done and how many people, or rather, what are the projects they've been supporting. And lucky for me, Something Like That with NAV is also been supported by them for the next couple of episodes. Well, a couple of days back, we had our friends from Blister, and right now I have a very, very special gentleman who's been supporting the music industry, the entertainment industry, arts, you name it, whatever it has to do with the blazing scene. He has been very, very supportive. He's been championing the cause for a very long time. And he's also the lead vocalist for a kick-ass band called Rhythm Nation. I have with me, representing Keep It Local Asia, my man, Jude Ashvin. Hey, man.
What's up, Nav? How are you? Thanks for having me back here. Great to be back in
Good.
Something Like That with Nav.
Ironic enough that we were talking about it off air, and the last conversation we had was almost 2 years. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that as well. It's crazy how time flies. And I think that time we were in a pandemic, right? It was a pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost 2 years ago. That was crazy long, man.
A lot has happened since then. Congrats to you on this great show.
Thank you very much. And also congrats
You've gone really far with
you.
this podcast.
I didn't expect it. You started off a brand new life, and that's the best part for 2022. How's that coming along, man?
So far, it's been very different. I mean, compared to the time we spoke in 2020, a lot has happened since for both personally and professionally. And as you know, you've been there for my wedding.
Before we get into the professional side of it, how's the personal life? Now the new journey, the duo, sharing your life with somebody. How's that coming along, man?
Very interesting for you to say. I mean, you're a married man yourself, but maybe it's too soon to say. I would have a different thought about it 1 year later, I guess. But so far, for the past few months, it's been great. It's been great. It's a whole new experience, and it's really a great time with having like someone with you. Who pushes you. Career-wise, it's so important to always have someone there who would tend to bring you up. So my other half has been amazing in doing that. So it's been an amazing few months.
Well, the first few months is okay. The rest of the life is going to be perfect, man. That's how we see the whole thing. If starting a bit bumpy, then you have issues, lah. But anyway, keep it local entertainment. As a matter of fact, we started off as Keep It Local Entertainment, and now it's Keep It Local Asia. It has evolved very much, and for the benefit of our listeners, viewers right now, Keep It Local Asia is actually a talent agency, right? Talent management agency, is it? I'm always confused with that part.
I can't blame you, Nev. A lot of people have asked me, and because we do so many different things, and we've dabbled with events and agency, as you mentioned, production, publishing. So to sum it all up and to really put it out there, Keep It Local Asia is basically an entertainment agency where we focus on live events, production, publishing, production, anything entertainment related. So our goal is to always champion local musicians here in Malaysia. But interesting enough, during the whole pandemic, my whole perspective just changed in terms of how could we promote musicians? How could we be a different agency for them? Compared to all the other talent agencies around, because there's a lot of talent agencies we have here in Malaysia. So we decided doing more more projects that involve bringing local talents overseas. It was surprising to know that how foreigners or even viewers abroad appreciate local talents in Malaysia, and it's different for them. And the support here is great, but it's just a whole different feeling on bringing them outside and making them stand out that way, and championing Malaysian music. So most of our projects that we've been doing have been associated with that. and it's been great. It's been great. I can't wait to share with you, like, all the projects we've worked on, and I know we'll be talking about METASTRAITS as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
it's been
before
a
I even
great
get
time.
into the meta traits, I've noticed a couple of projects, just to name a few. You had recently, or a couple of months back, you had something to do with, let's see, Massive Malaysia. That was early this year. You're doing
Yes.
that live stream shows going on, and you were very active. Pandemic was not an excuse for you guys to stop moving it forward. You guys did a lot of online shows, and like what you said, it spread across the different parts of the world. But my question is, how supportive were they for the local talents, or were they a bit skeptical? Did they have their doubts of getting on board a concept as such instead of just focusing on just the Malaysian talent and Malaysian crowd or Malaysian group of people? Has that been an issue for you so far?
Fortunately, no. Like a lot of musicians that we've worked with, especially if you want to promote them in a different country or China per se, like what my approach was, like I sat down with the artists and I told them, explain to them, okay, look, this is what we want to do. This is our
Mhm.
vision for you. If you're on board, let's do it. If you're not, then we've got to pass and look for somebody else because chemistry is very important, and you have to be in line and on the same page with what we're trying to achieve. So we were fortunate enough to work with a group of musicians who had the same vision, who wanted to
Okay.
go global and who wanted a whole different market. And I'm aware there's a lot of musicians here who rather just focused on the local market and the Malaysian music scene because sometimes it's very easily to get demotivated over here.
Yeah.
Like, with a lot of things that happen. And I mean, you know how the industry is now, from
Yes,
time to
exactly.
time. So I believe all these guys, they need a source of motivation, for someone to come in and tell, hey, look, we've got an opportunity for you. Um, and my goal is to always work with them, not work for them or for them to work with us. Let's work
Okay.
together and let's make history. So that's what we did with Massive Malaysia. It was great.
Nice. That was huge.
We had,
That's huge, Ben.
yeah, that was done because a guy named Eric Defortuné, great individual from China.
Hmm.
Um, he is the founder of Music Days China. So his goal was to always bring local acts over to the China market. As you know, with China, they have their own thing going on over there,
Yeah.
and it's very tough to penetrate their music scene. So he was a rebel that way, where he wanted to, like, come in and promote Asian music abroad and bring in American bands to China, and their music dish has been championing that cause. And
Yeah.
just so happened we connected via a networking platform called Gig Live Pro, and he told me his vision. I said, and we just agreed on one thing: say, hey, let's do a showcase for Malaysia and promote Malaysian artists in China. And the next
Nice.
thing you know, we produced a great show featuring some amazing acts. From the top of my mind, we had Kaya, Billy Blue and the Nowhere Man, Jumero, to name a few, and SOG as well. Yeah, SOG brought out a whole different vibe because they have that Malaysian traditional
Yeah.
sound, and we had amazing success from that show because we pulled in about 9,000 people. Nine
Whoa.
thousand people from China actually watched that show. So we were
Nice.
very happy with how things turned out.
Actually, one of the best things about I think I do recall having this conversation with one of the artists, if I'm not mistaken, whether it was Darren or anybody else. The best part is a lot of Malaysian artists have this focus that I only want to send or rather make it in the Western world out there, the Western music scene, or European countries or US, where for that matter. But what they fail to understand is the Asian market is huge. The population
Yes.
of the Asian
Yes.
side is huge. If you're going to take China, you got a billion people over there. If you ever get a chance to penetrate into the Indian market, you got a billion people over there. The population and that. Then you got all the little countries in Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Indonesia for that matter, Thailand. So these are the places I am a bit curious on why most bands are not pushing it further to penetrate into this particular market. Is it like have they tried and they failed, or is it something tough to get into, or maybe no one has started doing it yet? I'm not talking about people like Def Jam Asia and all, because they have their own franchise going on. But on other parts of the world, the other independent groups, have they actually tried that and experimented on that before?
Yeah, I believe it's not much about like not wanting to experiment because as you want to tour like places like China or even Japan, Taiwan per se, there's always going to be a certain amount of budget that's involved.
Okay.
So funding has always been an issue. Like hands on why, like initiatives by Chandana and different platforms like that who could actually provide funds for these musicians to travel abroad.
Mhm.
That's really important for them, or else it's going to
Okay.
be out of their own pocket. And I know a lot of bands who have done that. Like you mentioned Darren from Honest Mistake. He's done great work with in Philippines and like all across Asia. And Honest Mistake, they've been like they've established a touring circuit for themselves along with a lot of different musicians here. So it's just more
Yeah.
of course, it's about the network you build. And a
Okay.
lot of musicians here, they always ponder on the first step, like, okay, how do I approach someone? What do I do? Hands on why, like
Okay.
working with an agency or working with a touring agency is so important. So they can get you like the right venues, the right promoters to work with. Because if you are band X and you want to do a show in Japan or even Taiwan per se, there's a lot to look into. Like, okay, which is the great venue for me? Do people know about this? Because now with
Okay.
Spotify, you have like Spotify for artists and all. Data is so important, right? You can
Yeah.
actually look into like which country is listening to your music and know where your fans basically from. So it takes a lot to actually tour places like that. You have to do your research first. It's so important.
Okay.
And you need to be able to like social media is huge now. You just have to go and find the right people. Thankfully we've
Target
you
your
know we've
ads
connected
to
with.
certain geographical location.
Yes. And on top of that, I believe musicians and also like managers, they shouldn't be shy. They shouldn't think twice. Whenever you feel like approaching someone, we have platforms like LinkedIn now, and
Yeah.
you just have to go and you never know what could happen. Like you see with this whole collaboration with Music Dish China, it
Yeah.
was just one conversation that brought us here, and next thing you know, we're covering Malaysian bands in China, which is something I never imagined doing 2, 3 years ago, or even the time we last spoke now.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
um, yeah,
Because that was amazing when I saw the thing. It's like, okay, everybody gave a pandemic as an excuse. You can't do this, can't do that. But you took it to a whole new level altogether. But the best part is, I also have this particular question. You, or rather, Keep It Local Asia, have been the bridge between an artist and maybe the clients, or maybe different location, or I don't know, events and things like that. But of course, getting the people on board. Like say for example, not the other end, but on this side, on the artist. How does that work? Do you scout for this kind of talents, or do they approach you? How does this whole thing work? It's like you want to do a show, maybe you have contacts, maybe you have people that who wants to work with you, but then again, you need to have your artists. So how do you select them? Who comes first? Who goes first?
yeah. Actually, it works vice versa because a lot of talents we've already know. Like people
Hmm.
like Blister. Like it's amazing working with them now because they've been around for decades, and they're
Yeah.
such a talented bunch. So I would love to promote a band like that overseas because I believe they can do
Okay.
really well. And along with K Town Clan, like Roshan, he's done great work in India. So I
Yeah.
know, like they definitely have a market there. But in terms of talents approaching us, we are always open where we would not shut down like working with any talents here in Malaysia. If they approach us on Facebook, if they approach us on via email, we will always be on the lookout and we will see like okay, we believe okay, these guys really know their shit and they really want to go
Okay.
far with their career, because everyone wants to make it, and it's such a an industry where it's not a very easy industry per se. You need to go 100%.
Hmm.
So it's not just based on the music, it's not just based on the craft, it's also based on your determination. And you can see that when you have a conversation with that person. And it's always like, okay, what do you want from this? So we were fortunate enough to have people from like India, like emailing us and saying, "Hey, we got some music out. Could you promote our music to your part of the world?" So that was something very surprising for me. Like getting those emails and people knowing, like having people from India knowing what Keep It Local Asia is all about, and
Yeah.
trying to use our platform to get to the Malaysian audience. And that was something amazing for me. So I would say it works both ways now. Like, it doesn't matter if it's already with talents, but with the talents that approach us, we are so happy to find out what's out there. And as you know, this day and age, there's not many platforms that you can actually go out and like look. Everything is on social media nowadays.
Yeah.
It's not like back in the day where you could just sit down for an open mic and then just spot that 1%.
This time you got to work
So
hard. You really
yeah,
got to push yourself. You bring yourself forward. Because why I'm asking you this question is I had a random chat with one of the bands, and they're pretty talented, pretty good, but they've always been performing in that same circle of locations,
yeah,
the same group
yeah,
of friends. It's been the same thing. They are very talented. I mean, you know me. I've seen bands come and go, so many different types of talent, and these guys have a very unique talent. Unfortunately, unlike most of the bands you've come across who approached you and decided that they want to take it further, going to different countries or playing in different shows, different states, these group of people tend to stick to that so-called circle. And when I asked why you don't move it, it's like why you don't intend to take it further. The one thing they said was we don't really know people. We don't really know people. We
Mhm.
don't really have connections. Two, they don't really have the time. And three, cost. They are afraid that it will cost them a lot to tie up with any of the talent agencies, as like, say, for example, yourself. So is it true? Is that a big cost involved? If I'm an artist, I want to come and work with you. Do I need to have a hefty sum of amount of money with me before I even come and pick up the phone and say, Jude, hey, let's have coffee? Does that work that way?
I wouldn't say it works. It works that way entirely, Nav. Like as I
Mhm.
mentioned earlier, I think I mentioned this before. Everyone wants to. They want to tour somewhere. They want to go overseas. There's always going to be traveling costs,
No, no. I
and
mean,
for them,
what I meant
yeah.
to say is to meet you, to start it off, to kick things off itself.
Oh, to meet
Do you
me.
start off?
Okay, okay.
Yeah. I mean, to meet, to work with the agency itself. Okay,
Okay,
yeah, not
okay.
not exactly the two ways. Like meeting, like keep it local. I want to work with
Got it, got
keep
it,
it
got it.
local. So do I have like a specific fee that I have to prepare before I come and see you? That kind of thingy. Or it's like okay, then we work based on projects. Or how does that work for you guys?
Yeah, honestly, Cha, I wish there was a fee based on doing this for so long. But as I mentioned, it has to be a 50-50 partnership. So we never
Okay.
charge for assisting local musicians or even local entertainers per se, because I have
Okay.
this mantra and belief that if we make it, you make it, and that's so important because we don't want to like have this perception of them wanting to pay us and
Mhm.
okay, once you pay us, we're going to take you somewhere. A lot of people could find that like misleading, and I've seen a lot of. I'm not going to mention labels and
Okay.
other agencies. They've done that to musicians. So and they've been in unfortunate circumstances like quite a few times. So for us, it's more about come, let's work together. Let us know
Okay.
your vision, and the only currency we see from there is if you are determined to build your career, if you're willing to
Mhm.
make sacrifices, because that's the toughest. A lot of people they'd be like, hey, look, I want to do this, but I can't go all the way. I still have my day job. I still have my
Yeah.
family. There's always the case, right? But
Yeah.
if someone
Yeah.
comes and says like, hey, let's go all out. I want to make it big. I want to perform in Europe or America someday, and I never discourage their dreams. I'm not going to say, hey, let's just take it easy first, but it's always you got to dream big in order to go for what you
Yeah.
want.
And it takes time,
So
isn't it?
yeah, it takes time. It takes time. You need to have a lot
Because
of patience
I'm pretty sure a
in
lot
this
of them
industry.
came to you. It's like, dude, I want to do shows here. I want to hear why nothing happening in the first 2 months or next 30 days. How come nothing going on? I need to do it right now. I'm pretty sure you had those cases before, right?
Exactly, exactly. That's why it's so important to manage expectations with them. Say, hey, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be. You always got to look at long-term visions. A lot of musicians they always cater to short-term goals, which I mean, it may work for some, but you've always got to have a long-term investment plan in this industry because you got to know what you're going to do next. It's not just about releasing one album and then, hey, we've done it. What's going to happen
Yeah.
next? And I've been with Rhythm Nation and we've experienced that as artists as well. Like you need to, you learn from your experience basically, and we need to have follow-ups all the time. What's going to happen? Are
Got
we
to be
going to invest in
consistent. Lah.
this? Yeah, and you got to be consistent. That's so important because I realize one problem we have in this industry is whenever a band releases a song, it takes a few months till you hear from them again, which
Yes.
I believe shouldn't be the case. Because if you really want to stick in people's mind, as you know, this day and age,
Yeah.
everyone has a very short
Well,
attention span and you're
yes.
forgotten
And
easily.
very
So
fast.
yeah, but the one act who, I mean, not being biased because I'm close to him or whatsoever, but Roshan has always
Roshan.
been
Yeah,
on top of
I
it,
knew you were going to say that, man. It's like,
Yeah,
because
he's one.
that guy is like,
Yeah,
it's hard to keep track. That's the thing. He's coming out, he's churning out music like nobody's business, and it's so hard to keep track, which is great, man. It's not because for him, we're supposed to have a chat with him also one of these days. It's like he starts off with different. One, he comes out as Roshan Jamrock. Two, he comes up as Roshan Jamrock the rapper. Then Roshan Jamrock the producer. Roshan Jamrock K-Town Clan. So it's always consistently coming up with something, and the name is always there. Which I say it should be a great. It is a great example for a lot of bands out there to follow.
exactly. I mean, that guy's hard work and dedication to his craft is just amazing, and it's always nice to be inspired by people like that. And it's nice to have a friend like him, that you could learn from. And it's always this industry is a learning industry. Whoever you meet and stuff, you can sit down, have a conversation with that person, and get as much information. It will help you improve your craft as well. So I got a funny Roshan story actually. There was one time, always we plan to hang out, probably have some drinks. We always have great times like in different places. But there was one time I remember I was like right down in the studio, literally his entrance. You've been to his studio, right, Nav? So
Yeah,
the entrance.
yeah.
And I just called him and I told him, I said, "Hey Roshan, I'm here. Can I come up and say hi?" And he actually said no. It's like I'm in the zone right now with my music. I just want to focus on this. And I was like, oh, really? Then I thought about it. I'm like, okay, if that's not dedication, I don't know what is. So
Yeah.
that
Actually,
that
we should
moment really
support
stuck
that.
with me for a long time. Yeah,
Yeah, we should support that very much. It's like you don't disturb an artist during his creative side, and you should admire and use that. Maybe we should be using that whenever we work. It's like, okay, fine, I'm going to do this. Don't
exactly,
disturb me.
exactly.
Be in the zone.
You
That's a
know,
nice way of putting it.
distractions are so easily obtained. Everywhere these
Yeah.
days, especially if
Later
you're
lah, later
online.
lah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, his dedication is just crazy, and it inspires people like me and also a lot of people in the industry to work even harder. So to answer your question, Nav, you got to be constantly working, in order to get that. So like you mentioned, like whether they have to pay us to get somewhere and all that. I believe the only thing they have to do is like always have like a long term vision. Number one. Number two is to constantly work, as I mentioned. And number three, they need to come up with at least a 5 year plan of what's going to happen, what's next, how many albums we're going to do, how are we going to, and content. Content is so
Okay.
important, and I realize a lot of musicians they don't know how to like produce content sometimes. And you tell them to post something, they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Okay, what do I post today?" And I can't blame
Exactly.
them. It's. I mean,
You got to have
for
that knowledge, or rather the education on social media and marketing. That's one of the most important things. Being an artist these days is not just about creating music; it's how you market yourself. And even though if you're not going to be the one doing it, to a certain extent, you need to have the knowledge of what is happening and how things are being posted, the kind of photos that needs to be released, those kind of things. I think it is important. How do I put it? Important knowledge every band or musician should attain, man.
Exactly, exactly. And it's important to look at your artistry as not only as you don't only have to be a music artist, but you need to be a brand. How am
Yeah.
I going to spread my brand? Because there's a lot of things that come along the way, merchandising, and eventually IP is so important as well. I mean, look at bands like just name a few bands like Linkin Park and all that, right? They've produced a great IP, and hence on why they've been around for a long time. They have a sense of longevity, and they've been doing music like till today. And that's one thing that always has to come across musicians. You got to build a brand for yourself, and not just the music.
Very true. As for Keep It Local, a lot of your bands that has been working with you, they're more focused from the Klang Valley. A lot of them are from the Klang Valley, Malaysian artists. Have you ever considered of tapping into different states to look for these talents? Because a lot of times it has been going on for a very long time. And as of lately, since everything went online, everybody could see the bands performing at different sites. And a lot of gigs that's been done recently are also from different states, because I have friends who toured in Penang, Ipoh, JB, Kuantan, Sabah, Sarawak. They seems to be, and they, according to them, the support they got from these states were tremendous. It was amazing that they didn't get in places like KL. So they kind of started focusing more on those kind of states. So has Kill had any plans of going to these places and start working with talents from different states instead of just focusing it on the Klang Valley side?
Most definitely. Like the reason why we started with Klang Valley first is because we need to have a ground to start on,
Mhm.
and we needed to build our brand. Like as I mentioned, somewhere, and hence why Klang Valley was the first spot. But over the years, like as it could be a simple visit, like you mentioned to Penang or Ipoh. For me, my main focus was to always check out the local live scene in those countries. Even if it's a
Countries and
different
states
country per
already.
se. So I've been fortunate enough to actually go to like some places in Penang and Ipoh, and there's a lot of talent out there. I think one example would be K-Click. Like,
Yeah.
guys from Sabah, like we didn't hear from them like 5 years ago. And next thing you know, they've become a sensation and they're all based in KK. So, stuff like that. You never know who's out there. So to be honest, I feel like we've not done enough in that area. And that's something
Okay.
I really want to, dive into. Like this I whether it's to a nationwide tour or whether to just like take a week off and just go somewhere and scout these talents, because I believe we can find great talents everywhere here in Malaysia. But yeah, that's a great question, Naf. Like that's something that's definitely in our plans, and yeah, I'm actually excited to get started with that.
Nice, man. Because I was actually planning to have a month dedicated to friends from East Malaysia. Because all my podcasts have been people from the West Malaysia. Hardly had any chats with friends from East places. So maybe, I don't know, maybe December or January, I'll dedicate the entire month for that. But the problem is I got to find talents, getting contacts or getting connected. So hopefully, for those listening to this show, I actually had a few of them, but I just got to get them on board, man. But
Yeah.
anyway, taking it to the next level, you have gotten yourself involved in the metaverse. That's right. You took it to another level altogether instead of just focusing on shows, live or the in-person show, or how do I put it, physical show. Sorry, you focused on metaverse. You had a series of shows going on, and I believe you also worked with people like Vandal and Dow Records, the
Yeah.
crypto world. How is that coming along? How did you find it? And how did it all start for you?
It's really been a very interesting opportunity to say the least, because it's something else I didn't expect to get into. Like what was crypto and what was blockchain for us, like a few years
Yeah,
back, right? And
I'm still
fortunately
puzzled
enough,
of it.
yeah. I mean, I'm still learning, although I'm in the space, but it's still a learning curve for me, because there's like a whole different world in there. And like you've mentioned, Vandal. Yeah, I've really got to thank Vandal, for someone who's come from Canada and promoted the hip hop scene here. Like he's one guy. Like you can put him anywhere, and he will somehow create something. You've
Exactly.
not met
He's
Vandal for a
contributed.
long time. Yeah.
Yes. He's
So
contributed a lot for the scene, man.
most definitely, hands down. He's done his part, and so how this all came about was like you mentioned, when we had a chat during the pandemic. We wanted to get into the virtual thing, because we had to make do, right? At that time, we couldn't do any
Yeah.
physical shows. There were no live shows, and how to make the best out of the situation. So yeah, virtual. So we were fortunate enough to work with some brands who approached us to do virtual events. Uh, Promoted some great bands with that project. And one day Vandal approaches me and he says like, hey, like, have you checked out this space that we actually provide funds for you all to do your own shows. And I have a virtual venue called Crypto Voxels. And when I went in the venue the first time, I was like, what's all this? Like, it's
I know.
crazy. Like the avatars there and all. I thought, okay, this is just some real next level shit. Like I don't think I'm ready for this. Like I don't know what's going on. And as for everything, like Nav, it's so important to do your research. And I actually I brought Vandal on for one of our podcast sessions called Convo. And I
Yeah.
just sat down with him and spoke to him about it just to learn more. And he gave me a better understanding on what they were doing and how it can help the scene. So I said, you know what? Let's give it a go. Let's try it. So basically, what happens is we work with this platform called Near Protocol. So Near
Yeah.
Protocol is like an upcoming blockchain platform. They are like, if you consider Bitcoin and Ethereum the big boys, Near
Hmm.
Protocol is like on their way up there, and they're based in
Okay.
Portugal. So they are very involved in the events, live event and music space, and they're trying to build the ecosystem within that community itself. And for the first few events, they actually funded our shows where I just created a DAO. It's going to be a bit confusing for you, Nav, but I'm just going to try to like simplify it
As
for
as
you.
as much as it might look confusing, I actually have a
Yeah.
DAO account. I think I have a DAO account because Vandal had gave me the same invitation a long time ago. I'm supposed to
Oh,
take this
really?
whole thing and put it down there, but I still haven't done that yet. He's gonna kill me if you
Okay.
heard this, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you
carry on.
should, you
Sorry.
should. So, like, I just went in there and then I created our very own DAO to keep it local. And the purpose of our DAO is to promote Southeast Asian musicians in the metaverse and also the blockchain ecosystem. So we did our first show with Jumero, if I'm not mistaken. This was like sometime last year, and that whole experience was if I could describe that whole experience, is what was crazy to say the least. Like we broadcasted their video via Twitch through this virtual venue, and we had avatars attend from all around the world, and we had a decent crowd. Like I didn't expect anybody to attend the show. I just thought, okay, just try it out and see how it goes. And they paid us in return, and we actually got funds to pay the musicians, and that's when it hit me. Like, hey, this could be a thing, like everyone is this was the second pandemic when we were stuck at home back in
Yeah,
2021.
yeah,
Yeah, and musicians were like they couldn't find an
exactly.
avenue. So when I paid the artists, I realized, you know what, I want to do this monthly and see whether this helps them and it also helps us. So every month we've been proposing, we will send in a proposal to Near Protocol, and we will be funded by this great guild and community from Creatives DAO. So for example, Nef, I'll just like describe the whole process for you. Yeah, if you were to do a podcast and you want to bring in like some guests from America and you need some funds to pay the guests to be on your show, you could actually propose this to Near Protocol and the Creatives DAO, and if it gets approved, they will give you the funds for you to run your show. So that's how
Nice.
amazing it is. And this is all done in the comfort in your own home through your laptop. You don't have to go to
Yeah.
Portugal per se to meet them, or you don't have to, like head out to meet anybody. It's all done online, and the process is so simple. And yeah, and we get paid for doing what we love, which is
Nice. Just
amazing.
got the world smaller, man. It's
Yeah,
easy to reach
exactly.
people.
So since then, we've done 10 volumes of shows. So we've been
That's a
doing it
lot,
for
man.
over a year, and we've had the privilege to pay all these musicians to be a part of it. Although I can tell it's a very new thing for them, like because it will take a while for everyone to understand it completely,
Yeah.
whether it's the viewers or the artists themselves. But it's interesting to say the least. Like everyone found it interesting and they want to be part of it again. In fact, one of our last events that we've done, we actually wanted to branch out to Singaporean artists as well, because that's the whole point of METASTRAITS, right?
Yeah.
That's the brand and IP we've created along with. I just want to give a shout out to some of my partners who have helped me with this. Sam Padbiri, and also DJ Natuno, who's part of our
Okay.
council. We just created this brand called MetaStraight. Say like, okay, let's just promote artists from Singapore and Malaysia. Let's do back-to-back shows. So that way, like we can get a Singaporean audience and a Malaysian audience watching both acts from different countries. So we've been
Actually, yeah.
doing that. We've been doing that constantly, like every month. And the last show, we had about 500 people that attended the whole virtual
Nice.
session.
The
Yeah,
crypto
it was
voxels in the
crypto
crypto voxels. Well,
voxels.
I kind of like it.
Yeah,
It's always a unique thing where you have that so-called people or avatars that look like a crash test dummies that are coming around, moving around. I'm one of them sometimes when I visit the
yeah,
whole place.
yeah.
It's
I
kind of
see you. I
nice.
see you. That.
It's kind
Yeah,
of
it's
nice
different. I
experience
mean,
there.
it's still weird, but it's
Yeah,
different, and it gives you the ability to watch something from your own home. You don't have to go out, and hence on why we wanted to feature more talents overseas. If there's like an artist from Singapore that you enjoy and you can't go there and watch them, head on to Crypto Voxels via our Magistrate series. You can watch them from there, and you can even interact with them. There's
I'll
like a
put the
chat
link over
feature.
there, man.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
chat
it,
feature
it is
that
nice
comes with
because
it.
yeah, because the thing is this. It's nice that you especially you was making the effort to create that foundation on a
Thank
world
you.
that
Thank
might
you,
be
man.
the future of music. You never know because this is the beginning level of everything. Instead of just waiting for it to kick off and then blow up big, and then only you want to put your foot in and learn the whole thing. It's best to be at the starting stage itself, because I'm predicting that this is the future. You talk people like Snoop Dogg is talking about NFTs, and all the other artists are talking about NFTs these days, and even Twitter has just started talking about that, getting to that. I mean, digital currency trading, and a lot of things are happening. So it's nice to be at the starting point of everything, man.
Exactly, Nav. You said all the right things there, because it's good to get ahead of things. Because one thing I've learned from my experience of running Keep It Local is you've got to know what's out there and what's happening, and you've got to be early on it. Because if
Yeah,
everyone starts doing it, it's going to be like saturated. It's not going to make sense anymore. So it's good to be ahead of things, know what the future is for the industry, and I definitely see the future going this way. So hence on why we are dabbling with music and tech per se, which is so important. I believe music and tech is the future, whether it's the
yeah,
metaverse, whether it's NFTs, whether it's going to be through a blockchain currency. It's going to be very vital for the scene. Speaking of NFTs, Nav, I just wanted to share this on another plus point from what we're doing in MetaStraits. So every artist that we feature for the show will
hmm,
actually have a chance to produce their own NFT and sell it to their fans. So we always give
okay,
them an option. Yeah, do you want to sell it via this platform called Minbase, which is also in the
mm,
Near Protocol ecosystem, or do you want to give it out for free? So if you were to attend a concert by Blister per se, we will give you a free gift, whether it's going to be a free NFT or a free Near token to show our
yeah,
appreciation to you for coming for our event. Because that way we get to spread knowledge on what we're doing,
yeah.
and more knowledge on NFTs as well for those who are not too familiar with it. The reason why I feel like NFTs are so important, and one thing that people don't see, yes, it may not work for everybody, just to be transparent. But for example, I just want to give an example, like a band like Kings of Leon. I actually read an article somewhere where they decided to release their album solely based on the NFT space. That means no Spotify, no YouTube, nothing like that. So if you want to get your album, you get it via NFT. And I'm not sure how much they were selling it for. So don't quote me on this. I believe it was around 1 Ethereum, which is easily thousands, for us.
Okay,
And by buying their NFT, you get number one, all access pass to their concerts in any parts of the world. That's amazing. You
okay.
don't normally get that in an album, right? And
Wow.
second thing is you get content that nobody has access to. And three, you get their music, and it sold out, and it did so well, and they made more money than they actually did from a single CD sale.
Wow.
So that really got to me, and I was like, okay, you know what? More artists need to get on this. They just need to understand the concept of NFTs, how to sell those experiences. But it's not just about painting something or creating a digital art and putting it out there. You can actually attach a lot of things to the NFT, which could be an experience. So if someone like you, Nav, if you were to sell your NFT, and if you want to have an exclusive content with certain individuals, um, maybe even a Grammy award winning artist, and if you want to put it as an NFT for them to actually watch that content, things like that actually work these days. There's so much you can do in the platform.
Actually, it is a brilliant thing because, okay, I'm just going to be very honest here. A lot of them that I've spoke to, I had the very same question about why aren't the bands getting onto a crypto world or the blockchain world and all that. The answers I get is usually, no, like, it's still new. I don't understand that. No, it's not feasible. And I would rather say that these people with such a mindset should start focusing on the positive, the plus point of
Yes.
getting onto the blockchain. You have absolutely nothing to lose if you come to think of it. Okay, being an artist in Malaysia, especially, you want to get shows is a nightmare. Once you do your shows, getting payment is a nightmare. Then you're selling your music. It's not as much as you can think you can get. You can put it on Spotify. You can put it in YouTube. Unless you make millions and millions of views and listen just to get a few thousand ringgit, it's not worth it. So, and it's always limited to a group of people. It's always the fan base. I share on Instagram. Everybody in the Instagram will check out my music. So it's limited to that part of the world. Unless you get on board the blockchain, it has an endless possibility. You never know which part of the world, who else is going to listen to it, and the value of it. And when you just mentioned earlier, 1 Ethereum is a couple of thousands for us.
Yeah.
I better check my account. I think I have one or two which I opened some time back. I just got to check whether I
Wow.
still installed
Yeah,
it or
you
not.
better go.
I
You better go and check that now.
now I'm just cracking my head. I can't remember my password. Which
Yeah,
site
you
did I
have.
open the whole
You
thing?
probably got some millions in there that you don't know about. So
I do. I thought I saw, and now I can't remember which site and what's my password. I just like, oh man, I just got to check it out. But I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like getting involved into this world, looking at it as a second option instead of just focusing on the conventional method. I hope a lot of people will start doing it, man. It's nice because
exactly.
I follow you on your Telegram page. You have a lot of metaverse shows going on, and I just once in a while I take a peek in, and it's kind of fun looking at people how they react, which means people are watching your show. So which
Yeah.
is nice, and you have a whole lot of people down there. It's like you said, it's when you look back, the amount of rooms you have in the so-called crypto voxel world, it's huge. The platform is huge. So for those listening in, you just might want to check it out one of these days. Just drop in and just see for yourself how it works and throw your music in, man. That's what it goes. I mean, hopefully. But so far, how's the support been for you? Getting people to come on board this digital platform.
The support has been great. Like, it's like how you angle it to them. It's so important. Like, if I'm gonna get a musician on board, or if I'm gonna get someone to watch the show, um, like I would just sit down with them and explain. Okay, look, this is what I'm doing. This is how it works. And if you want an interesting experience, just come and watch. If you don't get it, fine. Because there's some things you can't control. But if
Yeah.
you get it, great. Come be a part of it. It's another thing I want to add now. Like through Near Protocol and Creative DAO, there's another group of people I would like to give a shout out to. They're called NXM Live. It's Near X
Mm-hmm.
Music. So they are
Okay.
a community of musicians from all around the world. And I'm part of their Telegram group as well. So every artist that we've promoted or we've showcased, we get them to join this group. So that way they get to promote their music to people all over the world. And these people actually attend the show as well. When we have live shows, some people actually wake up as early as 7 a.m. Based on EST timing to
Okay.
actually watch Malaysian X going live. And I've seen them attend. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like if you ever need an avenue to promote your song globally, this is it. Like what you've mentioned as well.
Yeah.
So the support is great, Naf. Like not only from the local audience, not only from the artists, but also from people abroad. And our aim, our vision is to make it as big as possible because MetaStraits, I believe, can be a great brand and it can definitely be a platform for a lot of artists to get their music abroad, to get to the next level, especially with the whole blockchain space.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm very excited. There's so much we've been working on. And just an exclusive for you, Nafa. I've not spoken about this to anybody else, but we are
Nice.
actually in the midst of launching a touring circuit with Malaysia and Singapore to actually do physical shows. So we're not just going to do
Wow.
virtually anymore. And we just started doing
Nice.
a physical. We just did our first physical show last month or 2 months ago with Blister. So what we did was they were going to be performing in the metaverse for the very first time, and we got this great crew from Chrome Studio who actually recorded this content for Blister. And we just figured, like, you know what? Let's try doing a semi-physical event. So I told the boys, just make an announcement stating that we're inviting 50 people to join us for this broadcast,
Okay.
and we're gonna have a party. Like free
Oh, that
flow,
was the one. Yeah, yeah, I saw it. Saw it.
free flow. You can meet the band, hang out with us. I just wanted to experiment and see how it goes, and it went great. People came.
Nice.
It was a packed, like a full house show, and for the entire broadcast, it looked so good. And that's when it hit me. I said, you know what? We need to do both. We can't just do virtual anymore. Let's bring these artists to the metaverse and do a live show. So we are in talks to be doing shows in Singapore as well for 2023, and
Nice.
eventually we hope to take this MetaStraits brand to Indonesia, Philippines, Japan, and even China.
I know you will. I definitely know
Yeah.
you will, man.
Thank you, brother.
I know you
It's
will.
yeah, we're just taking the simple steps for now because it's baby steps along the way, but we'll do what we can to get there. That's for sure.
It's amazing what you guys are doing because at one point in time, everybody was so reliant on TV stations or production houses. where you only can go to certain TV stations and do it broadcast to a certain amount of audience. But right now, you've just privatized the entire thing to come up with your own studio with a wider audience, worldwide audience. It's just amazing, man. I for all the bands who know me, who's listening to this particular one, get on board before it's too late, before the queue gets longer. So come on, jump on board, give it a shot. You never know, man. Because a lot of artists that I've also had a chat previously, they are making it big on how do I put it, for the international level. They managed to find the way, the path, the connection, winning awards from different radio stations around the world, whether it's metal, whether it's pop, doing collaboration. They are breaking from the conventional methods of a Malaysian music scene. They're thinking out of the box, or shall I say, out of the web altogether.
Yeah.
So, and it's moving. And this whole metaverse, or rather meta universe, what's it called again?
It's a metaverse.
Metaverse, all right. So,
but meta universe is a cool name, though. We can look into getting an IP for that.
Chop it, man. Trademark it. Yeah, I mean, get into the world, man. Get into the world. So it's amazing. I admire. I've always been a fan of your work from the very start. How you've been supporting all the artists, and now it's evolving. That's the best part. Is evolving, keeping up with the times slowly but surely. It's going to be huge, man. It's going to be very, very huge. Congratulations on that part, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And once again, congrats to you too, man. Like, you've been supporting us since day one, from Rhythm Nation days and you've always kept an eye on what every artist have been doing. And as I mentioned, something like that with NAV it's a great podcast. It's not because we had the discussion of you started this and all.
Okay. I gotta share this thing with everybody. This guy is one of the reasons why this whole podcast started. Okay, this guy. I remember sitting down in his house. I think it was Christmas party. We had the discussion about this, and that's how this whole thing initiated. So he is one of the brainchild of the this whole podcast. Okay, he and Brian and all the whole team. Man.
But let me just say, Nav, everything like you've done it's all you, man. Because I believe execution matters. Like, everyone can give you ideas and suggestions, but you took this and you really went with it. And looking where the show is now, I'm happy to have suggested it, but it would have not been possible if you wouldn't have worked hard in being where you are today. So kudos to you, brother.
Thank you. Cheers to the Christmas party you threw, man. It wasn't for that. This
I think we need more Christmas parties like that.
Yeah, more Christmas parties, man. Actually, a few drinks, a few chats, and that's it. Voila. And speaking of bands and all, music, hey, what's up with the Rhythm Nation? I know the timing was such that you had it launch and then the whole pandemic had to ruin it. And but of course, your music is still there, your album is still there. So what's the plan for the band?
Yeah, honestly, Nev, like, you have been one person who, whenever I meet you, right, whether it's while we're having coffee or beers or even like a podcast session like this, you always mention Rhythm Nation, because I know you were one of our day ones. I still won't forget the first interview that we did in
that's almost April 10 years radio. Ago, man.
yeah, that was crazy, man. Don't remind me, brother.
Yeah.
we became that band,
I was looking at the pictures, it's like, whoa, we were young.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So with Rhythm Nation, to be honest, that's always my foundation. I love the boys to that. I'm fortunate enough to still have a great relationship with all those guys. And we've been talking from time to time, when is the right time? Well, let's do this. So we're definitely coming back, that's for sure. But when, with the timeline, we're not too sure yet, but it will definitely happen, that's for sure. Because when we did our album launch back in 2019, we had such a great launch. And I believe you were there as well, Nan.
Yeah.
You're always there. Yeah, you're always there.
Yeah, I was doing the intro for you guys, man.
Oh, yes, I remember. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. You're always our intro guy. When I see you there, I'm like, okay,
no problem. That's how I feel like part of the band. Since I can't play music, I can't sing. So
always, man. Rhythm Nation is not just 7 of us. I always say that. It's so many people that have been there with us along the way. You're one of them. But when we had that launch, it was such a hype. But the only thing that brought us down was the pandemic. When everything closed by then, and we didn't know how else to push the album and to get out there, because we are a live band and we need to do things in a live manner. With everything being open now, and the music scene getting back on track. There's so many great festivals and showcases out there. I have spoken to the boys, and I feel like perhaps this may be the right time for us to slowly come out. And yeah, we all definitely need to get fit again. That's for sure. I think we've
Yes,
all got some
I met Vishnu a
pandemic
couple of
weight on
months
it.
back. I met Vishnu a couple of months. I can see that he has.
And he's a father now.
Yeah, he's
Some has
expanded.
been yeah, he's become a father, and then two of us got married.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, it's crazy. But we will definitely be back, Nev, and you'll be the first person to know. I will call
I
you
would
and I'll
love to.
say, this is
I would love to
happening.
see you guys doing that so-called. I mean, the show, the MetaStraits, Metaverse, Meta Universe. Get on board that. One of you two, or hopefully Rhythm Nation is one of the bands.
Yes, if we do that, it has to be associated with a live show, and
Nice.
that would make sense for us. So when the time is right, you'll definitely see a Rhythm Nation performance very
I'll
soon.
look forward for that, man. I'll look forward for that, man. So
Thank you, brother.
all the best in all your ventures and future ventures, shows, and much, much more. But is there a place where we could specifically check out, let's say, a web page, perhaps, or a social media page about the details on what exactly you're doing? Or is it specifically for the Telegram group, or I don't know? How do you work? How does that work?
Yeah. As of now, we are on Telegram and social media. Those are our platforms, but a website is on the works. A lot of people
Okay.
have been telling me, "You keep it locals been around for a long time. Where's the website, man?" But for me, like when it happens, I just really want it to be perfect. So I've got that
Okay.
problem. But it will be out soon, and people could like look up our initiatives there, or reach out to us there. It will be
Okay.
called keepitlocal.asia. But for the meantime, if you want to reach out to me or want to see what we're doing, please go to our Instagram page at keepitlocal.asia. We're on TikTok as
Okay.
well at KillTV. And yep, Telegram. Like, if you want to be a part of the group, part of the community, feel free to DM me and I'll be happy to add you in the group. Especially if you
Cool,
wanna,
man.
yeah, if you wanna be a part of our future events.
Yeah, because if you have not been in the group, let me give you a sneak peek. I discovered a lot of great bands through the group, man. It's a nice networking spot. If you just do it right instead of just posting things there, get connected with all the bands and whoever, you never know, you might want to collaborate with one of the artists down there. It is great. Jude, thank you so much. It's always been a pleasure chatting with you. And I hope we don't have to wait for 2 years for our next conversation.
Hopefully, brother.
Hopefully.
Let's not look to years. Maybe it should be in a month or so. But I'll definitely be
Yeah.
catching up with you soon, and
Yes.
we're definitely going to be doing stuff together. And thank you, Nat, for bringing me to your platform once again. It's always fun
Thank you for
being here.
being here, man.
It's a pleasure, brother. It's always fun with you. With our chats. So looking forward to seeing more stuff from something like that with Nat. And all the best to you too, brother.
Same. Same to keep it local Asia, man. All right. You take care, man.
Take care, brother. Take care.